This is the Anis Elegy Retro Custom, and you'll be surprised how many attempts it took me to say that. This is arguably one of the best looking cars in GTA Online. So to get this, you start with an Anis Elegy RH8, which itself is based on the newer Nissan GT-R. Now this is free for all users, so there's no cost there, but then you can just wheel that into Benny's and apply the custom upgrade, and that will turn it into this thing of beauty, which is kind of a mixture of the R33 and R34 skylines from the 90s. One of my favourite cars in real life, and one of my favourite cars in the game. I actually think this is probably my favourite Benny's vehicle. It's really close between this and the Comet Retro Custom. I think this just slightly edges it. So let's get into it and give it a review. So to start with customization, you have so many options with this. This is one of two that I own. This, if I could afford one, which looking at the price of them on Auto Trader for a good one, I can't. But if I could afford one, this is probably what I'd make mine look like. If you don't fancy that, you can do two completely separate Fast and Furious builds with this car. You can do Brian's Skyline and you can do Leon's from the first film. Considering this is a pre-tuner's car, and the tuner's cars are the ones that came with the real customization, the customization on this is great. Then on to the drive. In real life, this was a twin turbo 4-wheel drive monster, and it's the same in the game, and it really drives like a 4-wheel drive. This car had a really clever 4-wheel drive system. It was one of the first cars to have torque control, so it could send different amounts of power to different wheels depending on which ones had grip, and that meant that the amount of grip that this thing had in real life was absolutely stupendous. And it's the same in the game. The amount of grip this thing has in the game is incredible. It's a really, really good drive. That grip is why this thing was so dominant in Australian touring cars. I was talking to another YouTuber, Dead Man Down Under. I first remembered seeing this car in a documentary I watched years ago, and I couldn't for the life of me figure out which race series the documentary was about. And Dead Man Down Under jumped in and said that would have been the 1991-92 Australian Touring Car Championship, because that's where this car really made its name. So you may know it from Fast and the Furious, but it was only in the Fast and the Furious because it was already a seriously cool car. Back in the 90s in the UK, if you were doing okay, you had an XR2. If you were doing quite well, then you had a Cosworth. But if you were absolutely minted, you had a Skyline. And they are still very rare beasts. Anyway, back to the review. So drive-wise, I love it. It could do with a little bit more pep on the acceleration, and I'll be honest, top speed wise, I'll pop the top speed section up there now. I do think the top speed could be better, but in general, I think this is a great car. At 30% off, it's an absolute must buy, because that brings this down to what, around 600,000 for a really good looking, decently quick car with brilliant customization, loads of different customization options, and just something that's really nice to have and drive. The turning is sharp, the grip is good. I have nothing bad to say about this car, and especially at 30% off, this is an absolute must for any car fans in GTA Online. So here's the time it managed to do. And here's where it sits on the lapboard. So hope you enjoyed that. And my next video that I'm just working on at the moment is going to be the ZR350, another fabulous JDM car. So take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.